Okay, everybody, let's talk about monkeypox. I'll admit, didn't see this one coming in 2022, but we roll with what we've got, right? This actually isn't the first time we've had a monkeypox outbreak here in the United States in the last 20 years. The last time that we had an outbreak here in the United States was 2003. It was actually spread by prairie dogs that time, which gets into my first point. Monkeypox is a misnomer. This is actually a zoonotic virus, so it's spread by animals. That its animal reservoir is actually rodents, not monkeys. Now, it's called monkeypox because the first time that we isolated it was from a macaque that was infected back in the 1950s. Macaque's just a cute little monkey. So, same as always, we're going to go through what it is, what causes it, what it does to our body, and what we can do to prevent it, okay? So first, this is a DNA virus, not an RNA virus, so it's a little bigger and it's a lot more stable, which means it's not going to mutate as much as something like the coronavirus, which is actually a really good thing. Of course, the downside of that stability is it can survive a lot longer outside of a human host, which means if it gets on something like bed linens or something like that, it can still infect people. Okay, so it'll get into a human host either through by entering the bloodstream through a cut or through soft tissue like your mouth or your nose from droplets. From there, it'll get inside of cells. It has the ability to produce a couple of proteins that will prevent either the cell from destroying itself or external cells from destroying the infected cells so that it can last longer. Then it'll incubate inside of you for about 2 weeks. So the pathology of the virus, okay, what it does to you. After that 2-week incubation period, you'll start experiencing essentially flu-like symptoms. So fever, body aches, sore throat, think those types of things. After about 2 days of that, that's when the lesions will start appearing, the poxes on the skin, right? So unlike chicken pox, these poxes don't itch, but they are extremely painful. And so patients will see anywhere from a few, maybe a few dozen, up to several hundred, which can be excruciatingly painful, right? And you are infectious the entire time that those poxes are on your skin, and it might take several weeks for it to clear up. So all in all, this could be anywhere between a 3 to 6 week process. Okay, now the big question, what's your risk, right? So there have been some concern over the last several decades that monkeypox could actually replace smallpox in that niche after we've eradicated smallpox, but those are mostly kind of alarmist theories and haven't really come to fruition, which is a very good thing, obviously. There are a few clades or small groups of this virus. One is a little bit more dangerous than the other, but it looks like estimated our R0 value on this is going to be less than 1. So R0 is how we describe how infectious something is. If it has an R0 of 1, it means that one infected person is going to spread it to one other infected person before they're healed, right? So less than 1 means it's likely that an infected person won't be the thing that shares it with another person. You're much more likely to get it from an animal that has it infected than another person, right? So this is a really good thing. It means that this virus is not going to spread like wildfire. Think, for context, things with higher R0 values, the original COVID strain was about 3, the Delta strain was about 7, and those spread like wildfire, right? Or just last week we talked about malaria, right? That has an R0 value of 3,000 because of the vector that is the mosquito. So one infected person can end up spreading it to 3,000 other people. Now that's very, very difficult to control, but monkeypox, because it's less than 1, it's a little easier to control an outbreak. Still, that's not saying that you can't catch it from another person. Things you want to avoid is if somebody has the lesions, you want to avoid skin-on-skin contact. You want to try to avoid droplets, so PPE. After going through a pandemic, we kind of understand the concept of PPE at this point, right? This most recent outbreak has been mostly in men who have sex with men. Now, I don't want to stigmatize anybody with this. It's not a sexually transmitted disease at all anyway. But, you know, if you are participating in sex with anybody, there's going to be skin-on-skin contact, right? There's going to be spreading of water droplets from your saliva. And so if you are infected, you're much more likely to spread it to somebody else in that case, right? Still, it is very treatable and it is preventable. So this isn't something that we should be, having a mass panic about. This is something that's very controllable. Now, as far as prevention goes, the big one, the smallpox vaccine was, some numbers shoot it up to 85% effective against monkeypox. They're in the same family. That makes perfect sense. The downside is, of course, we don't vaccinate against smallpox anymore because it's been eradicated since 1980. So if you live in the United States, you probably haven't gotten a smallpox vaccine if you were born after 1970. If you live somewhere else, definitely have not gotten it since 1980, right? So There is a new vaccine that came out in 2019. I can't pronounce its name, but I'll put it on the screen. Sorry about that. That is really effective against monkeypox, but it's not widely distributed, mostly because this isn't a very serious disease in most of the world, so there's not a lot of risk of it becoming epidemic or pandemic, right? So mostly what a normal person can do to avoid this is, if you are at risk, try to get the vaccine. If not, avoid contact with anybody that has lesions or any animals that you feel like might have gotten it, right? And certainly make sure that any food that you eat, if you're in an endemic area, make sure that all of your meat is well cooked. Don't touch any dead animals, those types of things. And lastly, for the future, going forward, this is an endemic virus. It's always going to exist. It has animal reservoirs, unlike smallpox, and so we can't get rid of it. That said, what we can do is try to increase the economic standing of the areas where it is endemic. This is, like a lot of diseases, a disease of the poor. But like anything, we're learning more and more in our global community that anything that affects any one of us could eventually affect all of us. So continuing to produce vaccines for this and antivirals that can help treat this are going to be an important part of our global mission to take care of one another. Okay, all that said, that's my little short video on monkeypox. Again, not a huge cause of concern, but still something to be aware of. If you have any questions, you feel like I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. And if there are any other diseases you want me to cover, let me know. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other.